If you have not seen yet, there was the biggest tournament held over the weekend. It was the 10K Ursiday tournament. So what we're going to do is review the tournament. So they had 2,829 players enter. So this website is called limitlesstcg.com for those that have not used it before. So what we'll see is how they got along. So Narumi, after was it 32, top 32? I think top 32 is the cutoff. So Narumi on top, record of 15 1-1, 14 2-2 for Bixie. So you can see what each player's records were, how many points that they gathered, and if you scroll to the right, we can see what the top performing decks are. So obviously you can see from the pictures here, Magnezone Oricorio. Then we've got Meowscarada Decidueye, Magnezone Oricorio, Greninja Giratina, another Meowscarada, a Darktina, Meowscarada, Charizard, Incineroar. Then you've got Solgaleo Skarmory here. So we can see Meowscarada is dominating. There's some sprinkle of Giratinas in there. But near the top end, what we've seen is the non-meta, you'd say, where the non-EX is, if you want to categorize them as. So what we'll do is we'll look at some of the decks. So if you click on list, you can see, first of all, you can see what they run. So if you press matches, you can see who they faced during the day. So you can see they faced against Bixie, who was second, and they won, and they lost. They had a tie game against a Togekiss Tapu Lily deck. They lost against a Giratina Greninja deck. If we go back, so yeah, you can see the deck list, and you can also view various ways their deck. So you can see as an image. So this is how they ran it. 2 Magnemites, 2 Magnetos. So obviously, with the rare candy meta, a lot of people drop the stage 1, but obviously with the Magnezone line, you really need the Magneton because you want it to generate its energy while you got the Oricorio out there either attacking or stalling. Then you've got Lily to heal up your Magnezone. You got Mars to stop everyone from building up. Then you got your Guzmas. Obviously, a lot of these you probably could switch out to whatever you want. You got the cape to keep it alive, communication to find your Magnezone. So you can use this, or you can open as deck builder. Various ways you can see the deck, and so this is a pretty decent deck. So what we'll then do, so we'll analyze what the first day looked like. So near the top end, so we'll see the first few decks. So Bixie, we'll see what they're running as an image because it's then easier to understand. Let's go to the matches. Like we saw, they lost against Narumi, who's running the Magnezone deck. Then they beat Meowscaradas, Giratinas, Crobat, Darkrai, they tied against a Meowscarada deck, and they lost against a Charizard Incineroar deck. We go to see the deck list, we'll see as an image. So they're running the Meowscarada, a single Flogato. They're running the Decidueye with the Dartrix. They've got 3 healings in there. They've got a red in there, and they've got the Leaf Cape. So, yep, pretty standard. Some people like to drop the Dartrix and then fill it up with other supporters. And, you could even drop the Flogato, but they've chosen to focus on consistency, which isn't bad. We look at a few more decks just to see what made the top. Go straight to the deck list. Open as image. Practically the same, but they're running the sun form or Rowlet, which I wouldn't have run myself. Let's see what they ran as well. Open as image. Yeah, I would run the moon version, which can attack the bench. They did well. They came third. Then we got Magnezone Oricorio. So let's see what their deck looked like. Yeah, pretty standard. So let's see this Dark Tina. Let's see how they, not Dark Tina, Giratina Greninja. Yeah, so they lost against Bixie, tied against Merca, who's Giratina Darkrai, lost against a Rampardos Garchomp deck. Let's just see what their deck looked like. Yep, okay, the Tapu Lily. Tapu Lily has become very popular. They're running Mars and Red Card. Yeah, so this looks nice. So this is what one way you can take inspiration from tournaments. So you can see what's doing well in tournaments. And obviously tournaments versus ranked is very different because sometimes, you know, you know what you're facing. Tournament, you get 3 matches, you get to prepare, you know what you're facing, so you can think of what you need to do. You know what your opponent's running. While ranked, you don't know. You go in blind. So there's only so much you can control. As well as when you go into the tournament battles, you can switch up your energy. So if you're running like a Giratina Greninja deck, you could run only psychic energy. But then when you go up for a bad matchup against maybe a Charizard, then you run water energy. So then you can take out the Charizard much easier. So we've seen a couple of the decks already. Let's see. Well, let's look at the Giratina Darkrai. That should be pretty standard. Yep, very basic Giratina Darkrai. And obviously, when they're coming up against the Oricorio, it's the Darkrai with its ping. And they've got a helmet on there as well. Running Mars, red card. Got the Guzma to knock off any tools, and got the red card as well. And they've got, is it just, yep, one healing? Okay, no extra potions. Now you should run the center Nurse Joy with a couple of healing items, but it's all right. So what you can do is obviously you click on details, you can find out what happened. So it took place on Saturday. You can look at the standings. So you click on details and it shows you the points and what they've been running. Then you can go down to pairings, and then you can see how the match looked like. So from top 128, you can go across, see top 64, top 16, top 8, top 4, finals. Is any spoilers here? Let's see. Spoilers, Narumi won. So this is obviously for the full day. So you can see each battle, what they were, who they came up against. Then we go to the meta game. When you go to the meta game, what you can see is what with all the entrants, what were they running? Obviously, what you have to factor in is the more of that Pokemon, pairings that enter, the higher likelihood is that one of them will win, unless obviously the other Pokemon that they're using is a strong counter, and they have to really rise up. That's why generally you see a lot of Giratina Darkrai wins, because look how many Giratinas enter. 20% of the share. Look how much Giratina makes up 40% just by the top 2 decks. So then you'll see Giratina, Darkrai, Giratina, Greninja right at the top. But then you've got Miasquarada and Decidueye that's done very well. It only makes up 10%. Then you have to see where is Magnezone Oricorio. Magnezone Oricorio, there was only 26 players. It made up 1% of the 2,000 players. Made up 1%. And spoiler, they won. So you have to see how well that deck, how strong that deck is going against, these meta Pokemon. Because obviously you knock out an EX, that's 2 points. Magneton or Recovery, you got to knock out three of them. Okay, so we've gone through the website. And obviously with the website, you can do a whole boatload of things. You can look at in general. Let's go to Pokemon. You can go to Pokemon TCG Pocket. And let's go to, where are we? TCG, there we are. TCG Pocket, Celestial Gods. And you can also see in all the tournaments what are people running. So you can see in all the tournaments that have been held, the, the standard, the lion's share goes to Giratina Darkrai, Giratina Greninja, which is, in line with what we've seen in the Ursiday tournament that was held this weekend. And then we see Arceus, Crobat, Meowscarada, Decidueye. So nothing very scary. You can see roughly Magnezone Oricorio makes at 1.89%, and 1% was for this tournament, so not too bad. So you can see, using this website, you can see, what people were running, what's popular. Let's see what's the highest win percentage. So if you go click on wins, you can see that's the lowest win percentage. You got Incineroar and Infernape EX that have got, in all the tournaments, 56.92% win rate. Then you don't have a big enough sample size to understand, how well it's doing, because not many people are running, and yet they may just have it, a good matchup in one tournament and then got destroyed everywhere else. But then you can see, usually you want to pair it with win percentage as well as the share, because then you can see Meowscarada Decidueye, even though 6.2%, their win percentage is pretty high, much higher than Giratina Darkrai. You go down, then don't want to be fooled by like Bennett Greninja. Yep, 53% roughly win percentage, but 0.16%. Is it a good deck? Don't know. Not amazing, but obviously there's some play. It gets good win percentages. Garchomp EX and Rampardos 5.89%, Magnus Oricorio 1.89%. So you can, go on this website, look at how well they're doing. Then you go up to tournaments, then you can see what tournaments have been running and what are coming up. You can register for tournaments yourself. So let's go back to, then you can filter it by game. So we go for TCG Pocket, apply selection. So we've seen the day 17, which was a Saturday. Then they went to top 32. So top 32. So we've already spoiled it. Narumi did win. They went 5-0 with their Magnezone deck. Bixie came out second. So let's click on. They'd be running the same deck again. So if you see matches, so they beat Bixie again. So they beat them on Saturday and they beat them on Sunday too. And this is who they went up against. They went up against a Magnezone deck, a Meowscarada deck, Dark Tina, double Meowscarada deck, and they took them out. And let's see what Bixie went up against to get to the finals. They went up against, obviously lost against Narumi with the Magnezone Oricoro. They faced a Meowscarada deck, a Greninja Giratina deck, a Dark Tina deck, a Darkrai Crobat deck. So when you go onto Limitless TCG, you can see, what happened. You can even see if this view, top 32, you can see, okay, what were the pairings initially, who won, and go through it this way. And then you can go into, okay, then it becomes the top 16. What were the matchups like? And then you can see how slowly, the Magnezone and the Meowscaradas filter through. And you got to remember, they made up what in total 7% of the share, both of them combined. Then you see Meowscaradas, then two Magnezone Oricorios making it to, was it top 16, top 8, and top 4 you had Meowscaradas, and then you had the Oricorios facing each other. So then you knew in the finals there would be a Meowscarada versus Oricorio, and with the eventual winner being Narumi. So this is just an overview how Limitless TCG works and where you can take inspiration of what's going on, how you can build your deck, and if you want to use some of this towards how you build decks for ranked. And once again, metagame, you can check of those top 32 that then from the Saturday event that went on to Sunday, what was the makeup. So now you see Meowscarada Decidueye make up 40%. That's crazy. They made up 40% of the players in top 32 from being around 6%. That's how well this deck performed. And then Giratina Greninja and Giratina Darkrai made up, was it 40%? And they barely, what, 30% now. So Meowscarada outperforming, Giratina not doing as well. And Magnezone was what, 1%? And now it's 6%. So they've, what, 6 times the share now. And what did Meowscarada do? Was it similar? They had six. So seven, yeah. So Meowscarada and the Magnezone, they did incredibly well, and these are like hard counters against like the meta decks, the EX Pokemon. So they did really well, and then you can see that Solgaleo made it, Gengar, which surprised everyone because I think a lot of people saw this Gengar go up, so they lost. Let's see what they were running. So they were running this Gengar, so not an EX. So it's the one that puts you to sleep, running with Tapu Lele as well as Oricorio. Very interesting deck. I think a lot of people will try this out because it's an easy deck to build. Very interesting. Got your red cards in there, Guzmas. Let's check out the Solgaleo Skarmory deck because there's only one in there. Let's see if they're running anything funky, anything that help them out, or is it a standard deck? So let's see what they're running. Okay, they're running the Cosmo running a Guzma, four tools. Yeah, pretty standard. No healing items though. Okay, yeah, nothing too wild. Okay, let's see here what the Charizard was playing at. They've got the Charmeleon there to handle the Oricorio. They're running both versions of the Charmander, and they're running only a basic and stage 2 for the Incineroar. They got the mandatory double lilies, they got a red Iona as well as a communication interesting, and you got to run it with Cape. Okay, pretty standard. I like to run the stage 1 for Incineroar as well, just for that consistency. When I'm looking at the Beedrill Meowscarada deck, okay, yeah, they're using the Weedle that stings rather than the one that multiplies, and they're running one of each Beedrill, the one that only needs one energy to start attacking for 70, as well as the EX one, so it gives it that flexibility. They're running Ericas and the Leaf Cape, so pretty decent. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So this was just meant to highlight what was happening in the tournament and how you can use this website limitlesstcg.com. So you can see at the bottom there, you can go through and see what the decks that they were running, what's doing well, go into detail in each of the decks. Then you've got so many other functionalities within this website. You can see, how many Pokemon, how many decks entered, what's the share of it, how they were, what the win percentage, etc. So much information, and as well as not just one tournament, it then combines all the information in one area, so you can see over all the tournaments what's running well. So obviously you can see for this tournament what the percentages were like, but then in the end you saw, the cream that rose to the top, and it was the Miascarada Decidueyes and the Oricorios. So, oh, I forgot to do the Arceus Crobat just to see what they're running. Yep, Carnivine is the main attacker. Red Candy, yep, standard Arceus deck. Is there any others that I've forgotten? If not, what I'll do is I'll try and create some of these decks. Won't be able to create all of these because I'm a bit of a brokey. Don't have all the cards. So what I'll do is create the decks as close as possible to some of these. And what I'll do in the next episode is test them out and see how well they perform. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time where we do some battle. Let it rip.